Good evening. It's lovely to have your company today. Welcome to Thursday Book Club. I'm coming to you from Gadigal land of the Eora Nation, and I pay my respects to elders past and present, and to any First Nations people listening or watching to us today. For anyone new, my name's Suzanne Leal. I'm the author of 6 novels, most recently The Watchful Wife and The Year We Escaped. As many of you will know, but some of you might not, I started Thursday Book Club in COVID in 2020. It was a way to connect readers and writers together. Also, when I had a book out and all the bookshops were closed. So it was one of those times where um, you remember with the pandemic, you could just do stuff you weren't that good at. So you could just give it a shot. So I gave it a shot, and that's 5 years later now, and we've developed a really nice community, and I think we're going strong. Just for anyone who's watching without having joined earlier, if you want to join our community, it's very easy. You can just sign up free on my Substack, and you'll find all those details on my website, which is my name, which is suzanneleal.com. Enough about me. Tonight, I'm delighted to be in conversation with Kimberley Allsopp, whose new novel is this beautiful novel. And it's called Rise and Shine, and it came out in June this year. So welcome to you, Kimberley.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I think this is a gorgeous community. Isn't that the power of books?
It's really nice. It's really nice. And it is the power of books, isn't it? And it's also the power of not putting pressure on people. So it's a place where you can come or you don't have to come. You can come sometimes or not at all. And you can be late, you can be early, you can leave early. And I just think having something like that in a world which is pretty rushed sort of works.
Yeah, look, sounds magical to me.
Thank you. Thank you. Um, so for those who aren't familiar with Rise and Shine yet, I just wanted to start off by reading a little bit on the back cover. This is a story about marriage. It's also a story about life and love and happiness and the absence of happiness and what we need to do to find it again. It's a story about hope, baking, making music, lemon trees, painting, love, divorce, dogs, the families we create for ourselves, and the heat of the Brisbane sun. It's a story about August and Noah. It begins at the end. So, to start off, Kimberley, I've got 2 questions for you. Who are August and Noah? And what does that story mean when it says a story that starts at the end?
So August and Noah met when they were at university, and this is them, I want to say 17 years in. It's been a while since I've read the book. So this is them 17 years into that, 15 years into being married. Um, and they have a very good marriage. Like they get along, everything is kind of fine. But there are a couple of moments that happen where I feel like for August in particular, it makes her question whether or not this is the person that she wants to be and whether or not this is the life that she wants to lead. And she, when they were at university, used to paint, and she knew that that was probably not going to be viable in a fiscal sense, but she thought she would keep doing it and she would have that drive and it would fit around work and it would fit around everything else. And then she realizes that she hasn't picked up a brush in she doesn't know how long. And Noah was in a band, and they nearly made it big at a time where people actually cared about getting signed up to record labels. And I think that bands could make it big. And then some band members got, had kids and everything kind of fell apart. And he's now making podcast intro and outro music at a studio in Brisbane. And he is trying to write, and there are a couple of chapters where he's trying to write new songs and get back into it again, and is kind of lying to himself, I think, about how much he's doing it. So they're in similar situations in that they've kind of lost their way a little bit, and now they're going to have to find out what's next for them. And that's why it starts at the end. Because it's, oh, I mean, not like bang on the end, but it's the end of their marriage,
Yeah,
really.
so they're about to separate, aren't they?
Yes.
Or they're in the process of separating.
They've had the conversation and now it's about how that's going to come and be. And I wanted it to start at the end because I feel like so many things are in the lead up to when that relationship first starts in novels and in like TV and in movies, and it's all the meet cutes and everything else leading up to something. And I'm not as interested in any of that anymore. I'm interested in a relationship and the actual day-to-day stuff. And that's where we find August and Noah.
Yeah, it's really interesting because, when you're used to a rom-com, it's generally the beginning, and then, if it's a fairy tale, they get married and then that's it. But to start to an end that might or might not be an end, what was the inspiration for that?
I was just really, so I had written a rom-com that was definitely more trope based and relied heavily on plot. And I was trying, and I loved it. But I was trying to work out what I wanted to do next. And for some reason in my head, I think something had stuck in where I thought a lot of people I feel like are divorcing these days just because everything's fine. Like everything's good, but life is long. Life is also short. And they're going, is this what I want to be? Or is there going to be another like great love or passion there? Have I settled into this thing? And so I just could not stop thinking about that. And I wanted everyone in it to also be, I wanted them to be good people. I didn't want there to be a bad person. I didn't want it to be a divorce because somebody's cheated or and August and Noah don't have children. I didn't want it to be that suddenly one of them resented the fact that the other person didn't want that and now it's too late. And any of that kind of stuff. I just wanted it to be like, is this it? That a marriage kind of in a midlife crisis in a way.
Funny, it just occurred to me then, sort of years ago, or perhaps a generation or two ago, you would start your job, and generally it would be the bloke who would have the job, and it would last for 50 years, and you'd get the watch at 50 years.
Yes.
And it seems to me now that people's jobs are much less secure, and also people are committing generally less to them. Do you think that has some corollary with this idea of thinking, is this the life I want in a marriage? That the idea of a 60-year marriage is a bit similar to a 60-year job?
Yeah, look, I think it does. Even you saying that then, I was just thinking in my head, oh my, 60 years, what a slog. Not too loudly, I don't want my partner to hear. But like, that feels like a very long time to spend with one person. Um, I do think that I don't know exactly. I guess like my dad and my parents are still together. My dad worked the exact same job until he retired from, when they had started having us around like 25. And that's yeah, just what you did. But I think it's the same thing, I think. When everyone goes on their Christmas holidays, they start going, do I want to go back to that job? Do I want to be back in that office again? And it's those rare opportunities which we don't get very often because life is so busy where you can step outside something
Mm.
and go, oh, just wait, this is who I am now, and is this all I'm going to be? And yet, look, you're totally right. I hadn't even thought about that with the job thing either. But I mean, that could very much as easily be applied to a marriage.
Mm.
I also think that people that I know some people who are still together after meeting in high school.
Mm.
To be clear, high school was a very long time ago for me. And I think that that's bananas in the nicest way possible for anyone here. I don't know how you can grow
Mm.
at the same rate as somebody else
Mm.
and
Mm.
be together that long for that to happen. Like that kind of it baffles me. Like I've been in plenty of long-term relationships, but I don't know how anyone actually kind of does that. That feels like quite a feat.
Yeah, like I know a few where it's worked, a few where it hasn't. But the other thing I was thinking too is that, as a woman, and we've both got kids, which I don't know about you, but for me, that's meant a lot of part-time work. When I was a single parent and I was having, I had the kids during the week, and then my ex had them once a fort, so every second weekend. It was actually really great because you just were yourself. And I always think that it's a shame you have to get divorced for that. Why not? Why not actually do that? It's the same sort of thing as part-time work, which I say gives me the headspace and the incentive to write, whereas full-time work would just be too difficult, even mentally, because full-time has nothing left.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm in that situation
Yeah.
of full-time work.
Because you're full-time, you've got a 2-year-old and you've got a 7-year-old.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, and we'll get on to what else you're doing in work in a moment. So,
Oh, yeah. But look, I totally like I have been jealous of some people's divorces because it's not
yes,
that I don't love my children, but I'm like, are you telling me you have like a whole weekend to yourself every second weekend or something? That's my mind is blown. I cannot imagine that. But you're totally right. I mean, that should just be able to kind of happen. But I think that I speak as obviously this is just my experience. I think I feel guilty when I have to travel for work.
mm,
I pre-bake all this stuff for my daughter's lunch that goes into the freezer. So I feel like I'm still doing something and I'm still calling them like the girls and at least doing video calls like 3 times a day because I feel so bad about stuff. So I feel like maybe that's the plus in a divorce situation is where it's kind of forced on you. Like you need to be okay with that thing. And it's great that you're also able to do that with part-time work and write at the same time. Because I know some people who have gone part-time with these expectations in their head where they were going to finish they were going to complete a degree or they
mm,
were going to start writing or something like that. And they've just told me that their house has just gotten a lot cleaner
yeah,
because they're still not like, you almost need that deadline in a
yes,
sense. I
yeah.
feel like I don't know whether I would have written the books were I not fitting everything into these kind of tight spaces in my life. I didn't realize how important time was and how much of it I was wasting until I had children.
So, but quite frankly, I mean, okay, so it's full time. The kids are little. Are you sleeping 5 hours a night, 4 hours a night? How are you doing it?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is it's up at like 4 or 4:30
Yeah.
to try and write. And I can do that. I'm in Brisbane, it's sunny, like for a large portion of the year. The sun is up at that time. So that's great. I would maybe get like an hour in if I was lucky in that kind of thing. But I think, and I don't know whether this is the same with you, a lot of the book stuff I'm working out while I'm writing back to emails, while I'm doing the school, like pick up and drop off.
Yeah.
I will occasionally zone out like in a dinner situation where I realize like something's trying to work its way through. I try and do like annoying things where I go, at least if I get to, I rarely finish a chapter when I'm writing and I kind of go halfway through so I don't have to start a fresh thing again when I get back to it. And
Mm,
I'll be like, what else do I want to happen in that? And then I will hope that my sleeping brain will come up with a solution. And then, and I find the mornings are really good. I feel like there's this kind of space when if you're not awake enough, it's harder for you to doubt the words that you're putting down. So I just try and get that first draft done and then go, I'm really going to have to focus
wow. Did you
for the
take
next.
time
Is it,
off?
how do you do it? Sorry, I know you're
Oh,
asking me questions.
yeah, no, no, no. Look, well, it's a much easier gig now that the kids are older. So I work 2 days a week, in a legal job, which is, going to the office job, and then I fit some other legal stuff around that. But Then I'm at home, so I try and do maybe 3 hours.
Wow.
I mean, it doesn't always work, and and then sometimes I go away. Do you ever get to go away apart from looking after
No,
other
it's
people?
always with work. I can't think of the last time where
What
I
I'm
had.
going to do is just talk a bit about that work so people know exactly what this
Yes.
means. So, thing about you, Kimberly, not only are you a writer, a mum, a wife, you're also really ensconced in the publishing industry itself. And you started within this industry as a bookseller, is that right?
Yes, yes. I was at Dimmicks, Brisbane
And
for,
what was that like?
oh, I loved it. I've
What did you
always,
like about it?
I mean, I just like being around books. And I
Yeah.
felt like everyone I worked with, they loved books too. So
Mm.
it was just a great group of people to be drinking beers with on Fridays as well when you finished. I love seeing all the new books coming in. I was not excellent. This would not be a surprise to anyone who knows me in like the customer service role of things because I would get incredibly like frustrated with people and have quite an expressive face. So that is evident. When someone's coming in and asking, about a book with a red cover, or that they heard someone else talk about, and do you know about a book that has, I was going to say actually a monkey, but like that's actually quite narrow.
Like some
But
trees
yes,
or
exactly.
nature, about nature.
Or someone was on Radio National three
Yeah.
weeks ago and they did that. And but yeah, I just love being around books and that's how I got to my job at
And
HarperCollins.
so that job is as a you started in the publicity department and you've worked your way up. Is that how it's happened? Tell me
No,
about that.
I was started in sales because
Mm,
you just have to get any job that you possibly can. So
mm,
I was still in Brisbane then and I moved to Sydney for the job at Harper, which I found out about because I became very good friends with the sales rep from HarperCollins,
yes.
mainly because I want those early proofs that come through.
Yes.
But she gave me a heads up when that was. And so I would help a lot of our field sales guys and create like windows. I remember spending like 2 days once trying to make like chooks out of styrofoam balls and feathers from Spotlight for some ABC chook book that we did to send out to stores. And I would help with all the when the sales guys sell into say the Dimmicks head office or QBD head office or the indies with book people, they need like certain kits and I would go along and I did all that stuff and I did that less than a year. And then I became the international fiction and children's publisher.
Oh,
So I dealt with all the books coming from the UK and the US, and I would cherry pick the ones that I thought would work in the market and
mm,
then do the publisher role there. So not obviously like the structural editing or anything that a publisher on a local list would do, but make sure that the sales and marketing guys had everything that they needed and were doing what they needed to do and funnel any publicity stuff onto the publicity team. And yeah, be in charge of printing and all those kind of numbers. And so I did that for a couple of years. And then I fell into publicity because I realized that I wasn't going to make any more money in that job that I was in. But the publicists made more money. So then when a job opened up there, that's when I went across. And now I do marketing stuff as well. So now I'm a senior campaign manager and I do both. And it's been 14, 15 years now at
wow.
HarperCollins. So
Wow. Okay.
yeah, lots of moving around.
You look like you must have started from year eight.
Oh, and look,
That's
must be a good filter. It must
yes,
be the
yes,
soft
yes.
lighting,
I'm
I
sure it was
reckon.
great. So, and so you've talked about traveling. So, where have you been traveling over the last couple of months, and what was that? Has that been for?
Yeah, so one of my authors is Trent Dalton, and who some people might have heard about. And his new book, Gravity Let Me Go, came out on the 30th of September. So we have been going everywhere. We finish next week. It's a 2 month tour. We've had some breaks, like I'm back at home for nearly a week. this time, which is good to see those children, so I don't have to keep FaceTiming them all the time. Um, and then we have Adelaide and Perth at the end of that week. But then all these tours, there's months, as you would know, in the lead up of organizing everything. And then all of his like photo shoots, we had a stellar cover. So flying to Sydney for that and all the media that's fitting in with all that kind of stuff. So I spend, I'm not, it's not always this hectic. There are less hectic times. And it's mainly been that this is obviously like quite a big one, and you don't always have a tour that would go on this long. But even in July this year, I had Sam Guthrie with the Peak, and that was a month, essentially, kind of zooming in and out for events and all that kind of stuff. And the touring, like that can be a good thing. Like I found that extra time, especially like I'm a big fan of room service. And just being able to like order up, even if you're getting breakfast at like 6 and you've got to run off at 7, but you don't have to think about that. I'm not getting 2 other people's breakfasts ready before mine. And that does kind of free up some space in my head and some time to actually get things down. So it was I was in the middle of 2 kind of book promotions for Pat Cummins' book, who's the Australian cricket captain, and Ivan Cleary, who, oh my gosh, now I can't remember. Penrith? No? Yes? The big football team, not
big football team,
necessarily
yes.
football president. And they just won. They won 3 grand finals in a row.
Excellent.
And so I was in
Anyone
Sydney.
in the chat wants to give some further details on Ivan Cleary, feel free.
Yeah, I mean, look, and he's the nicest man, and it's honestly, it's just the end of the day, and it's
Oh gosh,
the end
I
of
mean,
the
I don't know
transfer,
how
and
you.
my brain is coming out of my ears.
We were talking about this beforehand, like when you do publicity for your own books, I mean, often it's, a year or so after you've really focused on the book. And sometimes I can't quite remember the characters' names. And also when they change sometimes as well. So, I mean, how you keep in your head not only your imaginative characters, but your real clients. I think it's a big ask.
The real client, that's easier to me to remember. And then I guess also I just kind of dump that stuff out of my head at that, like as soon as that's over, I'm like, oh, okay, I don't need to remember this. It's been very handy actually with Gravity Let Me Go on Trent, because we both have Noahs in the books, and they're both Brisbane based. That's very helpful for all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I genuinely, like, I don't know how anyone remembers anything. And I even had, when the book when Rise and Shine came out in June, one of the dads at school came up to me, and he'd listened to an audiobook and then read very sweet over like 2 days. And he was like, oh, blah, the accountant. And he's an accountant. And I was like, I genuinely had no idea what he was talking about. And I was like, what? And he's like, the accountant in the book. And I think it's probably like 2 lines, I want to say. But I felt like such an idiot because I did not know who he was talking about. I did not know he was telling me he'd read the book at all in that kind of thing. Like, it's interesting what sticks with people. Yeah, there we go. I was right with Penrith.
Ivan Cleary is the coach of the Penrith Panthers
Thanks, Lance.
NRL team. Thank you very much, Lance. So Lance is a judicial officer, but not only is he that, he's obviously got a football general knowledge too. We've got something in common, a few things in common actually, Kimberley. I was born in Brisbane. Were you born in Brisbane as well?
I was born on the Sunshine Coast.
Okay, same state. And we've got the same publisher with HarperCollins, and we also share the same literary agent. And there'll be people who are listening tonight who are either published or who are looking to be published or who are thinking about writing. So for a lot of people, finding an agent is difficult. And as it is with, finding a doctor, finding a lawyer, how do you do it? And who do you choose? How did you go about finding your agent, which is my agent, Margaret Connolly?
Who's amazing, and you and I, we love her. I guess mine is slightly different because I work with agents all the time. And so there's a lot of different schools of agents and a lot of different temperaments. And I approached Margaret because she is the agent for someone's book that I was working on, and I had to change something. I think I was just doing the marketing on that one, but I wanted money from the publicity budget that would possibly be in a touring sense to come over in the marketing pot. I thought that that would make a bigger difference. And but this author was quite keen on touring, and I thought we might get 20 people. It's just the state she wanted to go to was not the right state for it. And I could have an honest conversation with Margaret about it. And she was so like calm, understood everything I was saying. Some agents will just like push for the sake of pushing. It's like my author wants this, and it's not necessarily going to lead to more sales for the
Yes.
book, which at the end of the day is what we all want. The author wants that too, absolutely. And I could just have a really amazing, calm conversation with her. And then she was like, I will back you. And it turned out this author was also incredibly sane and was like, yes, that's fine. That makes sense. And I was like, we'll do shopping center highlights and everything. That will be more important in the lead up to Christmas or whatever month it was we were going into. So when it was actually a children's picture book that I had written. Because Margaret also does a lot of, as you know, like children's books. And so I approached her, and the pictures book has gone absolutely nowhere. But she was like, have you written any fiction or anything else? And that's how that came to be. But for anyone who's not working with agents all the time, like I am, I would suggest going to any of books you love that you think might be like what you're writing, that are, with local Australian authors. And I would see who they are thanking in the back of their book, because one of those people will be their agent. Everyone's very polite and they'll do that. And I would go to those kind of people because they're probably people that will appreciate what you're doing or what you're trying to do. That would be my suggestion.
Excellent, excellent. What I'm going to ask you, Kimberley, is just we're heading towards the end of our time, but I just wanted to get some recommendations, some book recommendations. I'll give you a moment to think about it while I ask everybody else. If there are any questions you had for Kimberley, given the numbers, what we'll do is I'll just ask you to put it in the chat. And while you're doing that, we have, as I think you can see, Kimberley, another vote of support in relation to Ivan Cleary, that he's definitely, this is from Suzanne, who says definitely a Penrith player, I can well guarantee. And not only that, her son batted against Pat Cummins once as well.
Oh, how did that go? That's like there's more to
Yeah.
both of those people are incredibly lovely people and they were great to work with, but it was in the middle of those two tours that kind of overlapped, which is when I suddenly came up with the idea and wrote the pitch for the book that will come out in 2027 and said that through. And I think it was just having that space. So sometimes things do happen on the road.
Now, when you were saying that, you use the time between school drop-offs or walking or washing just to think things through, I find when I've finished a book and if I don't have an idea that's percolating, it's a little bit lonely in yourself because you haven't got the imaginary people with you and you haven't got that puzzling out how to do it. I mean, maybe that's called relaxing. Maybe
Oh,
I
no,
don't do
I
that
think
very well.
I think you and I are very, very similar in that. And I feel I've handed in a book to my publisher and it's only been like a week, I think. And I feel quite anxious.
Yes.
And I feel like I'm sitting on my hands and that I'm wasting time. And I've just got like the tiniest thing and it's just not enough for me to start thinking about it yet. And I do feel lonely. You have to think too much about the rest of your stuff. Thank God I'm so busy, is all I will say.
And look, what I've learned, I think, is that when you're waiting for that time, and it doesn't matter how famous, how successful you are, the new book is the new book, and
Yes.
it's recreating the wheel, and you don't know how it's going to go because it's been yours and you haven't shown it. Um, I always just try and start something else,
Yes.
just so I do it like I do a legal issue. So it's like another case. So I finish that case, try and forget about it, start the new case, even if it's just 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just to try and turn turn in a new direction, I think.
Oh, you're doing the right thing. Also, I think that helps to stop. I can get, even though I know better, because I'm the butcher and the sausage, like I know exactly what's going to happen with the
Oh,
book and
yeah.
the publishing, but I will still get an anxiety like spiral, and that's very easy for anyone, I think, to
Yeah.
get into when they're waiting for something. So I think working on something else, I always say to other authors as well, especially when you're in that period where you've finished all your edits, or you're going to wait like 2 months for an edit to come back and you can't really do any further book promotion. And I'm like, start something else. It is good for
And
your
it's
mental
anything,
health.
anything. It doesn't have to
It
be
doesn't need to be
anything.
what the next book will be.
It's just something.
Yes, absolutely.
I've got a thank you from Dina Davis, who's a writer. Thanks for the tips on finding an agent. I've found it almost impossible so far. My understanding, I don't know if you can confirm that, Kimberly, is it's very difficult to find an agent. They're very busy, full. The market's down at the moment, and
Market
my
is great.
understanding that it's almost as hard to find an agent as a publisher, but it's just keep on going. Would that be your advice?
Yeah, I would say keep on. Look, you're better off having an agent. Your chances are improved greatly in getting published. But also, there are a lot of bigger publishers now that are running at least one yearly competition.
Mm.
So I would be following all of those guys on, especially like social media, which tends to be, I know, where we've announced stuff. We've got the Banjo Prize. We've just done one with the Australian.
Yes.
I know a firm in particular, I can think they have like submissions or manuscript Monday or something if you're following them, and they'll say exactly what they're looking for.
Yes.
So, but that is the only other way that I would suggest. Like there's your book, and I'm sure it's amazing and could be the best thing ever, but just sending it to like out into the ether into a publishing company without representation or without being part of that price structure, like I've not seen anything
Yeah.
ever come from that.
It's interesting, except maybe Matthew Riley.
Oh yeah, I mean that was a very long time ago.
It's true. It's true.
Not to age all of us, but yes. And the completely different market. Like you said, the market is so tough at the moment, especially for debuts or people that aren't kind of selling 50,000 copies.
Hmm. On a happy note, books that you love, any book, any time. Is there something you could recommend to us?
Yeah, I mean, I really love Laurie Colwin. She died way too young. She's an American author, and actually, our agent Margaret Connolly put me onto her. And she's neurotic and she's hilarious. She was a food writer for either the New York Times or the New Yorker. So she's also very good at like painting a picture, and you can taste everything. My favorite book of hers is Happy All the Time, which is about two couples in New York, and they're just she's made it. Catherine Newman does this very well as well in like Sandwich, and Wreck is her new one, and Catherine Heine, who I love, also does it very well. And Anne Tyler, where it's just like it's the everyday. There's not like a building that's exploding. There's not like bodies piling up, and I love the bodies. Like I love crime books, but I really love that kind of like insular, gorgeous, like everyday storytelling, character building that are funny, and then you'll get like really sad in bits, but every line is amazing. So I think Laurie Coleman is one of the best.
Yeah.
I'm so sad that we will never have more books from her. And I mean, I would read like a shopping list from her. I'm not I'm not great with like essays. I like to really get into a novel and be with it for a long period of time. So short stories, I'm not a huge fan of either. Complete art, just not for what
You
I
are.
like to read. Um, but like I've read all of her essays on like just food and cooking, because just her writing is so gorgeous. And Catherine Heine, actually, who I mentioned earlier, she's actually one of her short stories has just become a TV show with the woman from Colin from Accounts. It's called
Yeah.
like DMV,
Oh.
which is based on one from what her most previous like one of her newest collections. And she's amazing, but she has great novels too. Um, Standard Deviation is a great one, and then Early Morning Riser, which I promise I did not copy the name off for Rise and Shine. My publisher came up with that name. I had nothing. Um, but she is amazing in that, and she's very funny too, and has that she's not based in New York, but she has, I love that New York like cutting sensibility
Mm.
that she has. And yeah, Catherine Newman's awesome. And uh her first book, We All Want Impossible Things, I didn't know anything about, and I was reading it on mat leave with my youngest, and I'm so glad I didn't know anything about it, because it's set in palliative care, where it's two friends, and they're like in their 40s, and one of them who has a younger child is in there because she's going to pass. And I would not have read that. I would have gone, emotionally, on this amount of sleep, I cannot cope with any of that stuff right now, but I didn't know about it. And it was actually just so funny and beautiful. And then she's done Sandwich since, which is a completely different tone, like not depressing, but the Sandwich refers more to, she's got this couple that have been together for a long time, and they go away every summer. It's American, and they've got the older kids in like 1920, and then the parents that are starting to need them. And it's amazing, and it's just gorgeous. And she's just written a sequel to that called Wreck, which follows the same family again.
Mm.
And it's just like a perfect, easy read. And I'm in the middle at the moment of an Australian writer who I'd not read before. It's called Transformations by Andrew Pipos. And he wrote Luckies, which
Oh,
I
yeah.
have read.
Yeah.
Um, but his publicist, who's amazing, from Pamac, sent it to me. And it's about a newspaper guy, and he's learning to be a dad, even though his daughter's like 15. And it's set in Sydney, and he's about to have like what will be, I think, his big love. And I'm 3/4 of the way through it. That's the good thing about flying all the time. At
Yes.
the
Yes.
moment, I genuinely go, no, 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 no. I'm not going to watch like crap on my phone. I'm going to use this time to like
Sure.
actually get through a physical book. Because I read so much, I have to read to sleep. But I read on my iPad because we don't have PowerPoints where you would want power in the bedroom. So our lamps are decorative and completely useless on either side of the bed. So I read everything off that. But it's a really, really beautiful book, and I'm sure I won't be disappointed when I get to the end of it.
And again, you've got a supporter in our librarian, Suzanne Robinson, and she says, "Gosh, I love these ones too. The everyday stories that turn out beautifully. Love the authors mentioned, and Sandwich is beautiful." So
Oh,
there's a vote of
excellent
confidence.
taste.
Look, thank you so much, Kimberly, for your time, and we'll look forward to having you back when the new book's out.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This has been a really like delightful way to spend a Thursday night. Thank you.
Oh,
And congratulations on this beautiful community that you've built.
oh, thank you, thank you. It's yeah, it's been lovely. It's just and it is. It's interesting how you can have a community where you're not physically there. I mean, it really is. I think it's shown how far we've come in those 5 years, where you get to choose where online works and doesn't
Yes.
work. But I'm going to have one recommendation for everyone, which is not a book, but Lily Allen's new album, um, West End Girl. Um, yes, everyone here is welcoming. So Kimberly, please come back. There we go.
I
And then
would
we've got
love to.
we've got someone else. We've got a late entrance. Um, yeah. Anyway, Lily Allen. So the English singer, and it's the story of her marriage breakdown, and she is. It's like a story. It's like a book. It's like an album. When you used to have albums that would actually be curated together. Maybe they still are, but you just don't listen to them the same way. And yeah, she's the closest I've thought in terms of a musician who's also a novelist, but and funny, hilarious.
Speaking of divorce and everything as well, I've not listened to that. I really want to. I've heard amazing things.
Tennis, the book called Tennis, and it's just look, it's awful. I mean, it's an awful breakup, and you think, well, you knew she's a writer. But very anyway, that's my recommendation for the evening. I'll let you get back to your very busy life, Kimberly, and send our regards to Trent, who should be congratulated on being top of the pops again with well, at least for the first ABC
Yeah,
book.
yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's been really gorgeous to see. How lovely that nearly like 300,000 Australians voted about their top books.
Isn't
This is
that great?
amazing.
Isn't
Yeah.
it fabulous? I mean, and I must say, I was thinking, oh, don't know if I'll do it. And then I got that FOMO thing. I thought, oh, I better just do it.
And
And
so
it's
many
great.
Australians up there too, which is amazing.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So big clap for ABC and for Trent and for you. So
For
you,
all of us, because we're readers.
but we're readers,
That's
yeah,
the
for all
thing.
our readers, because we made it happen. Thank you, Kimberly. Have a nice
Thank you
evening,
so
and
much
thanks
for
everybody
having me.
else, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.